This is Rhea Von Slasher, and you're watching Toilet Side Wrestling Talk.
Hi, this is Brad from Pro Wrestling Junkies, and welcome to Toilet Side Wrestle Talk. Today's guest is from Homewood, Illinois, but you won't find him inside the squared circle. You find him on the outside at the Commentator's desk. Crash Test Wrestling, Chicagoland Championship Wrestling. He is the commentator. He also wears another hat as GM of Chicago Style Wrestling, and you can hear him on SportstownChicago.com. So without further delay, my guest, the man who makes some money with his mouth, Steve Ahrendt.
Wow. First of all, that's cool on many levels because you pronounced my last name right.
I was nervous about that all day.
Yes, it happened in 7 freaking years in this business, which is great. So I appreciate that. You know what? It's great pleasure to be here. I appreciate the opportunity to talk, make money with my mouth. We're working on that money part, but I do talk a lot. You're right. And you said I don't get in the ring much, but every now and again, we'll throw hands. But
I have a question about that later on. We'll get to the in-ring stuff.
I'm glad to be here. I'm an open book. Proceed when ready. I will give you the most ridiculous answers you've ever heard.
Got it. I expect that. All right. So Saturday Night Grapple Masters on the October 3rd. Did you have nerves going into it? How do you get up for that?
Well, you know what? I'll tell you what. When your program is going to be featured on Amazon Prime, and you're dealing with the amount of talent at Chicagoland Championship Wrestling, it really is no effort whatsoever to get up. You walk into that building and you are jacked. You feel like you've just injected yourself with a 6-pack of 5-hour energy shots, and you took about 6 Red Bulls as well. So I had plenty of energy to burn that day I walked in, and I had just worked 10 hours at my other job. So whenever I walk into a building to do a wrestling show, whether it be commentary, general manager, in-ring, whatever I'm doing, because I love it so much, I have energy to burn. It's after it's over that I come down hard. But when it's there and we're live, you want to give everything you can to the fans because everybody's putting their money out to see this stuff, whether it be Grapple Masters or CSW. Mm-hmm. The fans are paying their hard-earned money to get entertained. And without them, there'd be no us. So we want to give 110% every time.
So do you have to put in a lot of preparatory work when you're going to be calling an entire show?
You know what? There is a lot of preparation involved. You want to know everything you can know about where your athletes have been, what they've been doing, and what they do in the ring. There are some people in this business that are more versed than I in certain specificalities of what's going on in ring. I'm more of that guy that sits there and tries to describe the action and create visceral imagery. So, you're seeing it, but you're also feeling something when you're hearing it. I really feel like all the greats, anybody can say, look at that Hurricane Rana, look at that backsplash, whatever move is happening in the ring. You're wrestling fans, you know what they're doing, but you want to get a feeling and a vibe. That's where Gorilla Monsoon, Jim Ross, Gordon Soley, the really great broadcasters that have done in this business. That's why you listen to them, because they made you feel a certain way. If something was exciting, you could hear it in their voice and it made you excited. And that's kind of why, things these days are a little different, because when you watch the big shows, you've got JR at the twilight of his career. He can only give you so much. Mm-hmm. Shivani's still a genius, but that's kind of a strange little announce team they have there.
Yeah.
WWE is phoning it in at this point from commentary standpoint. It doesn't matter what's going on in the ring. They're not going to help you through it.
Yeah.
Your voice is what the people at home are hearing, and it's up to you to guide them. You need to let them know when things are exciting and need to be excitable, and you need to back off at times too. Commentary is really important, and I haven't liked wrestling quite as much since people are kind of phoning it in these days.
Yeah. Especially they're not going to even give extra effort because there's not really even fans there. There's not that energy. So when you watch this back, the Saturday Night Grapple Masters, for example, do you critique yourself or do you watch it and just have fun?
You know what? I am my own worst critic. There's no doubt about it. I'll go through it. I'll get halfway through and I'll have to stop and go back later because I'll have said something that I would have liked to have said better, or I missed something that happened that I see now while I'm watching it back. When you're live there in the moment, there's a lot going on.
Yeah.
There's in-ring, out-of-ring. You're dealing with the fans. There's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of visual things that you're looking at. And to be able to focus every moment on what's going on in the ring, you miss something every now and again. So I'm a terrible critic. I've always been that way. I'm not a big fan of listening to my stuff after.
Yeah.
But it's an occupational hazard. You have to do it. But if I didn't have to do it, I wouldn't, because I walk out of there beating myself up the entire night, and that's no fun.
So after the show, did you think of it as work, or did you think of it as fun?
When I work in the automotive industry, that's work. When I work in wrestling, that is joy and fun for me. So after working 10 hours at my shoot job, when I go to wrestling, that is my personal time. And that is it's hard work, believe me. Don't get me wrong. Everything we do, there's a lot that goes to it.
Sure.
Usually when I'm done calling matches, and now Saturday Night Grapple Masters was my first venture back into broadcasting after a few years. I hadn't really done a lot of play-by-play since the crash tested wrestling days.
Okay.
I always said to myself, if I don't walk out of an event feeling tired with a headache, then I didn't give 100%. And I had a whopper. I wasn't even able to stay for the after party. Us old guys, I'm on the other side of 50 now. Us old guys, we don't have as much spring in our step. And after 3 hours of screaming your head off, if you don't have a headache and feel like you're going to pass out, then you didn't give your best effort. So at least I felt relieved that I felt like crap.
Yeah, and everyone knows, he had a good show tonight.
Yeah, he doesn't feel well. He probably did pretty well. Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so I assume you've been a fan of wrestling since you were a kid?
You know what? I remember exactly when I got involved and started watching wrestling on a regular basis. Now, this is going to predate you significantly.
Okay.
Back in the early 80s, there was MTV.
Yes.
And it came into fruition in the early, 1981. Right around 1983, you had a character in music called Cyndi Lauper.
Of course.
And she was a big wrestling fan and started to do wrestling-related themes and had wrestlers in her videos, Captain Lou Albano obviously being the most important. But she developed a relationship with Wendy Richter, who was going for the title against the Fabulous Moolah. Now, WrestleMania 1, it was Wendy Richter versus Fabulous Moolah, Captain Lou, Cyndi Lauper, and then I think Fabulous Moolah had Classy Freddie Blassie as her manager. I might be wrong, and the Swink is going to kill me for this. I got it wrong. We'll talk about the Swink in a minute.
All right.
So watching that on MTV, WrestleMania 1 for the first time, and then in the main event, it's Hogan and Mr. T teaming up. So basically what I've just done is I've gone down the rabbit hole back in Rocky 3, and I'm watching Thunderlips and Clubber Lane as a tag team. I'm like, this is the greatest thing I've ever seen. Where do I get more? So at that point, I was hooked, and I became a Hulkamaniac. There's no doubt about that. And then I started to go back as I got older to watch the greats like Ric Flair. I started to watch WCW a little bit. And then, of course, I was the demographic during the Monday Night Wars. I had kind of gotten out of watching it for a little while. But when Scott Hall showed up on WCW and said, "You know who I am, but don't know why I'm here. Take my money. Take it.
Totally.
There you go." So, and again, as a fan, I have seen some of the most incredible things that wrestling has had to offer. People will talk about, well, the Road Warriors, man, back in the early 80s, they were the best. Well, I didn't know of the Road Warriors the right way. I thought they were the Legion of Doom. And then all of a sudden I'm like, oh, they're the Road Warriors. That makes much more sense.
Yeah.
So I kind of did things a little bit backwards. But in the end, boy, I've had a lot of fun watching over the years. And then at 43, I decided, okay, I'm going through my midlife right now. Maybe not the mid of my life, but I'm going to go through it. And I wanted to do something other than work in the automotive industry. So I went to broadcasting school. I knew I could do 670 to scores, radio personalities job better than they could. I was absolutely 100% sure. So I spent a year busting my ass, pardon the profanity, doing my job of 60 hours a week and then going to school at night to become a broadcaster. So I graduated top of the class and, with all the bells and whistles and whatnot. But getting into the broadcast business, it's who you know, not necessarily how good you are. So unless I wanted to move to Wyoming and leave my family behind, I was pretty much stuck. Fortunately, the guy that ran the radio station, Sportstown Chicago, at the school, Pete Ferrari, said, "Listen, we got a wrestling show we're covering. Do you want to do play-by-play?" And I said, "Well, sure. I'm a wrestling fan. I could probably do it. It's not a baseball game. I wanted to call baseball games and football games, but you know what? I'll do wrestling while I'm waiting." So I did broadcasting for a company called PCW. And their show was called Grave Matters. It was their Halloween show, and their special guests were the Nasty Boys. So there I met people like Tom Heisman and the Demigod, Larry Priest, Breon Skills, a lot of people that have a big name in this industry here. I became friends with them. And unfortunately, PCW closed its doors after the third show I was on. Their Christmas show with Ricky Steamboat as the guest was the last show I did. But I did see the match where Tom Heisman threw Vic Capri off a balcony through several tables.
Oh, wow.
One of the craziest things I've seen in this business.
Jesus, off a balcony. So who gave you your first opportunity to, in wrestling?
Yeah, my first of all was PCW. I got the guys from IMS got me in there, so I did a few matches there, and then the company went away. So things were quiet for a year, and then suddenly I get a call from Pete again, and he said, Peter Ferrari is his name, and he says, "Listen, I was already graduated at this point, and he said the school's got another opportunity to work within our company." And there are a couple of guys that are working in this company that requested you specifically, and they're not going to let us do it if you don't do it.
Oh, wow.
Well, I was flattered. It was a pretty cool thing. And it turned out it was Tom Heisman and Jared Priest. They were some of the talent and some of the booking agents at Crash Tested Wrestling. So I thought I was out, but I got thrust back in, and I worked for Crash Tested for 2 years. Had some great shows. I got to meet some great superstars, James Storm, Alberto El Patron, or Del Rio, or whatever he's calling himself. I got to meet MVP, who is one of the nicest guys. He sat and drank with us at the after party. He was totally, they say don't meet your heroes because that's been true a couple of times. I met a few people. I'm not going to mention names because you never know when it's going to come back to bite you.
Totally.
But I've met a few heroes that weren't very nice. But MVP was just golden. And one of my favorite moments from Crash Tested is an event called Destiny 2. And we were calling the matches, and about 600 people were in the arena. So it was a pretty big event. And it was Alberto versus MVP in the main. But right before the main event, we had Justice Jones versus Aaron Xavier, and they stole the show with their match. So we're screaming on commentary, and my head is about to explode. The headache I was telling you about was about to become an aneurysm.
Oh, my God.
So I turn and I look to the side of the riser that we're sitting on, and there's these big eyeballs, these big mascara-ridden eyeballs just looking up, giggling at us. And it was Paige, who was there with her then boyfriend, Alberto Del Rio.
Oh, that's right.
So we came down from commentary, and she pulled me aside, and she said, "That was one of the most fun broadcasts I've ever listened to. You guys are really good." So when you get compliments like that are unsolicited, it really makes you feel like you're doing something pretty cool.
And that gives you something to hang your hat on, like, oh, I did something really well.
But on the other hand, I did commentary with Billy Gunn, and he called me an idiot on live TV. So it ebbs.
Yeah, totally.
And also I got to do commentary. We just had this on our episode of Last Man Talking that we did not too long ago. We did a tribute to Animal because he was a guest at our shows many times, and season 2 of that show is about to premiere on the LRP network on the 20th of this month, in 2 weeks. And our first guest for season 2 was going to be Animal in studio. I had talked to Animal a few weeks before his passing, and he was very upbeat. And some of the shtick that's happening on that show is at the very end, in the last 5 minutes, I get my ass kicked in some form or fashion, hit with chairs, hit with fried chicken, you name it. They empty the chamber on me. So Animal was like, "I love what you're doing, but I want to know what I can do to beat you up at the end, because I don't want to miss my opportunity to whip your ass." And I'm like, Animal watched my show and wants to whip my ass. I've made it. So
totally.
And then, not meant to be, obviously, we lost him recently. And that was not only for me professionally, but personally. And a lot of the people in the LRP network that were friends of his have been a little down since then. We're going to push on with season 2, but that was kind of a kick in the bone.
I mean, that was so straight. Like, and then learning that he was only, 60? When he passed? I know, it's unbelievable. I mean, I would have thought he was a lot older, but he must have been really young when I was watching, in the 80s.
The thing that was so good about Animal is he was such a genuine person. He would come to CTW events and he would address our locker room. He was always there to answer questions. He would give us tips on commentary. He would say, when Shivani was doing us, he would do this, or when I was working with JR or Bobby Heenan or Vince McMahon, they would do this, maybe try this. So when we were sitting on commentary with him at an event called Collision Course, where we just re-released some footage, I'm watching myself sitting next to this legend doing commentary, and we're watching a tag match, and he's saying, I remember when we had that tangle with the Freebirds. It was a lot, and we were just like, oh my God.
Wow, yeah.
How do I not mark out and totally fanboy the situation?
That's amazing.
Fortunately, we made it through.
Do you prefer working with a partner or on your own?
Oh, God, that's a great question. I am only as good as my partner is. And I have been very, very lucky over the years, whether it be on radio shows, TV shows, or commentary. I've always had very good co-hosts and partners. One of the best was Nick Swinky. He hosted a wrestling show called That Wrestling Show not too long ago. And he still does Gorilla Position with me. That's a podcast I do on Thursday nights. So we still do our thing, but he knows more about wrestling. He's forgotten more about wrestling than I ever knew. The man is like a walking Rolodex. If you want to know what happened to GCW, he'll tell you.
Wow.
Ring of Honor, he'll tell you. AAW, anywhere there's wrestling in the world, he must have like an intravenous live feed to his veins of all action, because he knows absolutely everything. And he is a fantastic person to work with. On my radio show, Macho Ghost is a character that inhabits our little realm, kind of a fun guy. I've always had him on my shows, and I enjoy working with him a lot. Steve Kenton is a guy that's been working in this industry for a long time. Steve is one of the most prepared professional people I've ever met. And, he whatever he puts on his note cards, he reads. So he does very well at what he does. So I've been pretty blessed to be working. And now I have the villain, Joey Roth, as my co-host out at CCW. So I don't think it really gets much better than the villain. And we had one hell of a time. I can't wait for you all to see it on Amazon when it comes out.
I know.
So it was fantastic. So much heat.
It was a great time. Like I think I was telling the guy I went with, saying like, usually like at a WWE show, there's always like one or two down matches. That's when I'll go to the bathroom. It wasn't like I didn't go to the bathroom the entire night. Like it was crazy. And didn't even think to.
That's the compliment you can give us, that you didn't have time to do anything but enjoy the hell out of the match.
Yeah, totally. It was great.
And John Bullard should get a lot of credit. Him and Michael Allen, created the product, and they book the show, and they do the deals, and the athletes and the performers that they provided for us for that show. All up and down the card. Miles Mercer and C-Red are institutions in the middle.
Yeah.
And then you bring in people like Paragon and Garrison Creed, Shogun Chris Logan, All Day Marche Rocket, No-Coast. I mean, the list goes on and on. Sin City Playboys, Dastardly Boy. I mean, you can go up and down. And we even got to see Gunner Brave, which I've been following, steadfastly since his arrival, being trained by Seth Rollins. He's going to be good, and he's in the pinch, which was fantastic. And then the Chicago connection shows up, and all of a sudden John Hudson's in the Chicago connection. I was like, yeah. John Hudson and I have beef from CTW, and he remembered it and was still giving me crap.
Oh, okay, that's good. Well, you're stuck in his mind,
apparently.
So do you have to really like go out and market yourself?
Well, yes, of course. I mean, nobody's going to care about you if you don't put something consumable out there. I promote everything. Facebook to me is not anything other than a promotional tool.
Yeah.
I don't post a lot of, I mean, sometimes I'll post, if somebody's birthday,
Yeah.
my wife had a birthday today, so I posted something about her. But it's usually mostly wrestling. If we make a video, like we just made a promo for Fright Night, which is this Friday night for CSW, in which I'm tangling with Axel Rico, that mustache wearing idiot. So I'm dealing with Axel Rico Friday night, and we had a promo together that we shot up at CSW headquarters. So, those things I put out, video montages I put out to advertise the products, all the flyers, all the match updates. I share everything Bullard puts out there. So there's a lot going on, but it's all about promotion, because you need to find a way to strike a chord with somebody where they say, well, I have to see that. I can't not see that.
Yeah.
So I'm a hype machine. That's my claim to somewhat fame is, they can count on me to get the word out there. And every once in a while, I'll write something wacky that somebody will say, I came to that show because of what you said, and you were right. So,
Oh, okay.
If it works, it works.
Okay. I have two last questions.
Sure.
One is, what are your responsibilities as a GM?
GM responsibilities, they seem to never end. Basically, being the general manager of any company, now this is my second run. I was general manager in GPW, and now I'm GM in CSW. It's like being a daycare attendant for children. All these people wandering around. You got to funnel them into the right directions and into the right situations and in the right matches. So I'm shepherding the weak to the Valley of Hope. Because it feels like I'm shepherding the weak. But anyway, you're working on match bookings, you're working on storylines, you're working on every facet of what's going to go on from the start of the month until show day. So obviously we named the show right at the end of September. So it's been a 3-week scramble to get everything together, promotions up, ticket sales, after party, all the stuff that goes into it. So there's a lot going on as GM. And then, you come in, you welcome the crowd. Sometimes you get involved in the action even when you don't want to. I've been dealing with Chris Miller, who is a plague on my soul. And over the last couple of shows, we've actually gotten to physical altercation. So the GM badge does not stop at executive status. Sometimes you have to grapple as well. And you know what? They can say lots about me, but they can't say that I'm if you provoke me, I will whip your ass.
Okay, that leads me to my last question. In ring, how extensive of experience you have in the ring wrestling a match?
Well, okay, this is something that everybody needs to know.
Okay.
The amount of training that these athletes put in to perform at high levels and be safe is second to none. The Boz CSW Training Academy is a magical place because there are 15 people at a time in a class going as one unit to get each other and themselves better. The amount of work and the amount of effort that goes into being a professional wrestler is absolutely rigorous and can drive you crazy. But the best know that it's worth it at the end of the day. And fortunately, I have worked with some of the greats in the area and some of the greats that have wound up on TV. Kylie Ray puts in as much work as anybody, if not more, and look how far she's come.
Yeah.
She was just at Warrior Wrestling fighting Madison Rain, and that stopped the show. And they even homaged Shawn Michaels and Ric Flair. I love you. I'm sorry.
Really?
Oh man, if you haven't seen that Warrior match, you gotta go back and watch it.
Yeah, seriously.
They literally frame by frame recreated Flair Michaels. It was, and that was Madison Rain's last match in the indie. She's not performing in the indie circuit anymore.
Oh, I gotta check that out tonight for sure.
Check that out for sure, and don't miss Joey Janela off the goalpost through Robert Anthony and Frank.
I think I did see that actually.
Cool too. But like I said, to be a wrestler, you take risks and you have to be in the finest of shape and know what you're doing. If you are sloppy and not trained well, you can hurt people. People can end up injured, and that's no way to live. So what I do in the ring, I have been trained to do. Now I don't do a lot. It's not like I'm doing 10 to 15 minute matches. I come in and do some gimmicky stuff when needed. But the stuff that I do, I am absolutely fully trained. And I have worked with the person that I'm dealing with enough to know where he trusts me, I trust him.
Okay.
So wrestling is very much about trust. And if you don't have trust, then someone could end up paralyzed. So it's serious business. You know, when they say don't try this at home, you know, I see lots of people, you know, doing stuff on the internet, doing crazy things. That guy that would jump onto barbed wire and break light bulbs. You know, it's fun to watch guys like to do that because it's funny, but man, you could really get hurt. I've seen some people get seriously injured. It's no joke. So your question was I trained? And how much did I train? My little matches that I've done over the last 3 years, I usually train for at least 3 months to get to the point where I can do 3 minutes worth of material. It's a commitment, and you had better be in the right place at the right time, because even in a match that I did at GPW, I was in the wrong place at the wrong time, and I was holding the chair in the wrong way because I had never been in this experience before. Yeah. And I whacked my competitor with the wrong side of the chair. And that's you can't do that.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
oh my God.
We're not perfect. Nobody's perfect.
Sure.
You got to be as prepared as you can. So I don't get in the ring very much, but when I do, what I'm doing, believe me, I know what I'm doing.
And so does wrestling at the end of the day bring you like a ton of joy still?
Oh my God. Time of my life. I would love to someday to be able to do wrestling, you know, as my regular job.
Yeah.
I can't imagine what it would look like. You know, I'm scrambling from 6:30 to 10 to do whatever I need to do. And then I go back to work at 7 o'clock the next day. If I could spend the amount of time that I do, that the 60 hours a week that I spend at my real job, if I could spend that doing something, you know, on TV or at a higher level.
Sure.
And they say, if you love what you do, you never work a day in your life. Well, I can tell you that from 6:30 to 10 o'clock at night and on the weekends sometimes, doesn't feel like work at all. I'll drive wherever I have to go. I'll do whatever I have to do. And I will love every minute of it because I respect the business. I love the business. And, you know, I want the business to know, you know, that I'm, you know, I want to be a part of it. You know, you get tired of being, well, you're not really one of us. Well, I've worked my ass off like all of you. So
yeah.
Give me some respect, damn it.
So do you have a spouse?
I do have a spouse.
Now, does she love wrestling? Does she
God.
get still as much joy as you do?
It's funny. That's a great question. She can't stand it.
Okay.
She's tremendously supportive, you know, well, for the most part. I mean, there are moments where
a
little lackadaisical. But
totally.
For the most part, she lets me go and behave like a fool whenever I feel like I need to. And you know, right now, I'm very busy because I'm working for multiple promotions. So it's great to be busy, but it takes a toll on your home life.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
My kids play sports and do things, and I'm not always there for it. So she has to pull a mighty load. That would piss anybody off. So I give her a lot of credit for allowing me to do what I need to do. It's a give and take, but she can't stand it. I think she's been to 2-3 shows over my 7-year career, and she it's just not her thing.
Okay.
You know, that's okay because, you know, wrestling isn't everybody's thing. You know, there are the people out there, it's fake, it's choreographed, it's dumb, blah, 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 blah. And that's okay. You don't have to like it, but there are plenty out there that do love it. And, you know, I get messaged every day by fans and people, and I love the interaction. So, you know, there's not a day goes by that I don't enjoy what I do when it comes to that. And, you know, for the most part, my spouse of darn near 15 years, you know, allows me to do it. And it was her birthday today, too. So the fact that I'm doing this for you right
oh, my God, that's right.
It's not exactly a great optic.
All right,
She understands.
We're at the final 5 random questions now, so you can be attending to her shortly. Just 5 yes and no, yes or no. You can say yes, no. You can elaborate. You don't, whatever.
I'm an open book.
All right,
go
here
forward,
you go.
I'm fire.
Questions now, so you can be attending to her shortly. Just 5 yes and no, yes or no. You can say yes, no. You can elaborate. You don't, whatever.
I'm an open book.
All right,
go
here
forward,
you go.
I'm fire.
All right. Is there any circumstance that you would eat yours or your friend's pet?
Well, would I eat mine or my friend's pet? Well, my dog is quite the barker.
Okay.
So I have had dreams about, you know, maybe, you know, that incident outside where one of them comes back and one of them don't. I'm not so sure I'd be hungry enough to eat them.
It would have to be the right circumstance.
Well, I mean, if I'm on a desert island and it's
zombie apocalypse.
I'm sure it tastes like chicken. I don't know. That is the greatest question in history because I have nothing for that.
All right. Are you scared of Inuits?
Of what?
Inuits?
I have no idea what that means.
Eskimos.
Oh, am I scared? Well, hey, who doesn't love a good igloo?
Yeah, exactly.
They say I could sell ketchup popsicles to an Eskimo wearing white gloves, so I'm okay with them.
Perfect. For $14,000, would you commentate in the nude?
100%.
Okay.
Give me the money. They're not going to like what you see, but I'll take home that check.
Whatever. Yeah. Have you ever been part
That
of it?
would make my wife happy.
Yeah, exactly. You get a couple of those paydays a month, maybe.
But there ain't nobody paying $14,000 for that. If people were paying $14,000 for that, I'd be doing something
Yeah,
else.
totally. Have you ever been part of an animal's birth?
Have I ever been part? I don't think so. Not that I've been, my son, who's kind of, sometimes I was there for that, but I can't think of a time where I witnessed a birth. I've been to farms several times, but I don't think I ever, no, I'm going to say no.
Okay.
And I survived. I lived, so I don't
Yeah,
think
totally. You see you've made it. All right, last question. Have you ever mangled your skin as a result of a mosquito bite?
Oh, hell yeah. We all do that.
Yeah.
Because the damn thing won't stop itching, and you got to keep itching it. You know it's going to get bigger and worse. And yeah, that's humanity.
Yeah, until it's bloodied.
Right. And now we're thinking that maybe mosquito bites are COVID. We just don't know.
Yeah, totally.
The president won't tell us.
We'll eventually find out. Steve, thank you so much for coming on and telling your stories and having all this energy. It's been great. But I would love to have you on because I'm sure we could talk for another,
Anytime
minutes.
anytime you want to chat, I'm happy to come on. It's always fun talking wrestling.
All right. Well, I'm very grateful. You stay safe. I'll be looking for your work, and hopefully we'll talk again soon.
Like Casey Kasem always said, keep your feet on the ground and keep reaching for the stars.
You're the best. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.